ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again this morning for joining us. This is the fourth session that we will be speaking to you around 5G technologies on behalf of Digital Council Africa and Huawei Technologies Southern Africa region. We hope you've had some value so far, and we've opened up your eyes to the new world that 5G will bring to us. I've got the privilege today to share to you around 5G application and services. And without further ado, I'm going to dive straight into it. One request from our side is please keep your questions for us until the end, and we will attend to it. You are welcome then to use the Q&A section that is available on your screen, and then we will make some time available. So I'm very excited and a privilege again to share with you around our global experiences and what we have seen and what we are seeing happening in the world on a global scale. So I take it that you all can see my screen, and like I've said, we're going to focus on 5G application and services, and we need to know from the beginning that some countries have already been very innovative and have rolled out the technology, and we see really exciting things happening within the space around 5G as a technology enabler. So we're going to look at some overall strategies, how they plan it. We're going to look at the innovation overview, and then we're going to focus on specific business cases. So without a doubt, we see in the industry that 5G as an enabling technology has a massive impact on various verticals of industry. Now, just as an example over here, some of our forecasts that we have for 2025, you can see that we are talking about a lot of money. There are billions and billions of dollars out there that are just waiting to be captured. And again, as we've shared during the week, it's important for us to understand which verticals and which areas will be applicable to us, especially for those initial services. My idea of presenting to you today was around going as wide as I can, because I also would like you to start thinking outside of the box. That is a very, very important thing for us. So I'm going to go as wide as I can. So some of it you might think is not really applicable to your environment, the area where you are involved in. But we also need to understand that we need to stimulate, especially younger generations, around the opportunities, the entrepreneurship opportunities, business opportunities that 5G as a technology then will allow. So as we can see over here, from manufacturing, ICT, retail, public service, we go all the way down to arts and entertainment as verticals. Right. So immense opportunities. Again, as I've said, we're looking at projections from the GSMA. For 2026, we're looking at $620 billion. There's obviously applications that can look at campus environments, power grid, transportation, public security, stadium, ports, mines, banks, hospitals, and we're going to look at a number of these today during the presentation session. I'm going to give you some detail and insight onto how this can then support business. So 5G as a priority service, again, we talked about previously around the network slicing capabilities and having that ability with 5G as a technology to address the exact needs and requirements for a specific sector. And and that sector requirement can be based on an IoT environment, a massive machine type of communication. It can be low latency or ultra high bandwidth. And in some cases, it can be a mix of these services. And we're going to look at some of them today. So here we've got an example of priority services, which we've broken down into priority coverage. It can be scenario coverage or differentiated featured services. And then also there's consulting services that we can then bring to the fore. So there's a whole bouquet, as you can see over here, from finance, luxury brands, industrial parks, exhibition halls, right down to partners and government agencies. So it's important to understand the type of service, the type of environment that the service will be applicable to, and then again, the underlying technologies that have to be in place, excuse me, to support those type of services. Right. Here we've got an example of quick temporary services, and this is very typical for uh, sports events, for entertainment events, like rock concerts, those type of things, where we need that immediate connectivity, but we need it for a certain period of time only. It needs to be quick, it needs to be executable, and 5G then definitely can address this needs for it. And in a lot of instances, it can actually work in conjunction with what our 4G network capabilities are. Obviously, we have to understand what is available on 4G, where the specific segment is, and then we can maybe latch onto that as a service as well. Proof of concept is one of the things that we definitely want to encourage. So if you are not really sure, then make sure that you do a proof of concept that will give you that end-to-end understanding of what the technology allows and what the actual deliverables are on that technology or on that solution. Because the worst thing we can do is push a service to market, but then ultimately at the end we realize that we cannot deliver on that quality of service and that quality of experience that the customer will come to expect. So, and again, many applications we see here around energy, aeronautical, public utilities as an example. There's many cases in the world where we have come on board as a trusted partner to give you that end-to-end understanding and to test that capability that you want to push to market. All right. 5G open up a whole new world in terms of live streaming capabilities and applications. And I'm going to give you a number of examples today around the applications that have been adopted. But this can address many segments of the market. As we can see over here, we can use it in policing, remote teaching, video conferencing, self-media, the self-broadcasting capabilities, which is an entire new sector that opened up in the last couple of years. All right, you just need to speak to your youngsters around the YouTube stars and everything that is happening in that world, and you will see it is actually very big. So from a video perspective, whole new world, not only the upload capabilities, but also the download capabilities. And just think for an instance, or for a while, around what COVID has done to the world in terms of video and video capabilities to engage with one another via the platform. I mean, look at what we are doing today. We're doing a virtual event, and we've got people dialing in from all over the continent. All right. So before the COVID lockdown, my job required for me to be in another country every second month. I haven't traveled for more than 400 days, and this is the longest ever I've been at home. But again, the technology is the enabler that allow me to have continuity, to ensure that we are able to educate and equip stakeholders and partners with what the future holds. And again, the world as we know it is much different than the world that we see for the future. Virtual events, all of these things are going to be reality, I think, from this year onwards or from last year onwards, without a doubt in my mind. Right, so when we look at some innovation and overview, here I've got an example of what we've done in China, specifically around the police station and the policing capabilities. So they've enabled a police cloud where online users can log on to, they can assist the police in many ways, they can provide information, identify criminals. All of these things are becoming available because of the technology. And it even goes down to a robotic level where a number of police robots have been implemented in a number of cities. Now, these police robots can guide you, you can share information there, you can ask for assistance via these platforms. Very effective. And then also they, without a doubt, the utilization of augmented reality glasses as a solution with unmanned aerial vehicles, in other words, the drones that are used for policing. All of these things now are a real reality and are being implemented in China as I'm speaking. So we are very successful in all of this. All right. This also gives you an idea of the police station capabilities. Just gives you an end-to-end requirement of what the network should be able to look like. All right, so you've got from the user itself, you have the connectivity via the base stations to the cloud, and right down to monitor centers where you effectively can monitor, dispatch, police, etc. We've also seen that in some instances where we have challenges with connectivity, we've actually created ways where we can have the CPE in a mobile format. So in other words, the CPE can go over a certain area. Let's look at a drone as an example, where the drone goes up. It can do the necessary surveillance, but the CPE is actually part of the drone. And that can then communicate to the base station effectively to transmit the relevant data. Here we've got an example in the middle as well of a motorbike where the CPE is actually incorporated into the back of the motorcycle carrier itself with the necessary battery backup capabilities, etc. So again, we see innovative ways coming to the fore that allows the technology to be utilized effectively. Right. Broadcast, without a doubt, broadcast has been redefined. We've seen amazing things happen in terms of the size of the equipment, the capability of the equipment, the mobility of the broadcast equipment now that effectively just fits in a rucksack with a camera, and there you go. Your energy modules are incorporated into the rucksack, your communication modules, all of these things. And we also see now that this has opened up a whole new world in terms of the resolution requirements. So HD is outdated. Everybody's focusing on 4K, and they're looking towards 8K and beyond. And this is very, very exciting time, which gives us the ability to, from a broadcast perspective, to go very quickly and to connect and to transmit the data. So this is a very exciting segment as well. What we've seen in China was they had the first 5G 4K plus VR live capabilities. So now again, in terms of monetizing, we've got different segments and different streams that we can monetize, right? And that we can present to the customers, because you always have that premium customer that's willing to pay more than the rest of us to enjoy that premium content. So again, we need to have a clear understanding around the requirements of uplink, downlink, the latency, if there's drones available, all of these things need to be considered and incorporated into the platform. And as I've said, we give them a dedicated slice for live broadcasting. The security is not a problem, and there we can go. So in the media world, we've seen really, really exciting things happening around this, and it's all based on the 5G technology and the platform capabilities. In China, I've got an example here where the Spring Festival, which is one of the biggest events in the world, audience-wise, where they actually streamed a portion of it by means of 5G with 4K capabilities, but then also they presented the customers with VR for a VR capability. So again, the ways and means that we can now push certain entertainment and media to market has changed significantly. Again, understanding that the underlying platforms need to be in place to support those capabilities. All right, this is just a snapshot of how it was done with some timelines, the preparation that went involved. And as you can see, ultimately, if you wanted that full immersive VR experience, it was available for you to enjoy. So it's opening up a whole new world. If we look at smart hotels, a number of hotels have now opted to be classified as 5G smart hotels. It opens up a whole new world again in terms of the level of interactivity, the level of connectivity, the level of entertainment that now all becomes available because of the platform. So you've got means by which you can open up, you do everything via your smartphone. You've got 5G and AI robotic services available. You've got VR and immersive experiences available. Smart devices in the hotel room itself, as you can see over here, where Now the mirror all of a sudden is an interface where I can watch the news, browse the web while I'm shaving or while I'm washing my face. So a whole new level of connectivity is brought to the fore. Things like even room service, where your meal is placed inside a robotic device, which actually keeps your food warm while it comes to your room to deliver your food. And I know I've stayed in many hotels in my career and in my life. There's always that awkward moment when you're waiting for room service and you quickly want to take a shower. Now you know what happens, and you have to pop out. I think with the robot, I'll be really much more relaxed in terms of having to take a shower while I'm waiting. So really exciting things happening. And I think also I've said to my boss that when I travel again, once COVID is sorted out, I'm going to start asking for 5G smart hotels to stay in, because this is very exciting. Super malls and campuses as well. Now what we can do is, we know that some people love going to the mall and some people absolutely hate it. So what we're saying is, now let's create an environment within the mall itself for those people that maybe don't like to shop. They can have, again, an immersive experience in terms of AR, VR, entertainment capabilities that becomes available. So I can enjoy myself and keep busy while the wife does what she likes to do. So also, again, in terms of the operation of the entire mall, you've got 5G, AI, facial recognition, big data platforms. In terms of security, you've got IoT devices for monitoring, campus management, emergency management. All of this can be done much more efficient and effective now because of the connectivity that is available in the mall. And you can offer your customers all types of new and exciting services while they walk past shops. You can push content to them, where they can look at specials, etc., etc. There's a whole level of interactivity as well that can be incorporated in your solution, should you want to address that. Right. So some of the cases we're going to look at, and this is the question that we ask, is how do we select the target industries to start generating revenue? So I think, again, from an industry perspective, is we need to understand the business to business requirement. We need to ensure that we have the correct applications available, and then we do trials and test it, and then we can push to market within those vertical industries. So again, many industries capabilities that are available, which unfortunately we cannot address all of them, but I'm going to go as wide as I possibly can. So we talk about the 6 capabilities. So you need to look at latency. You need to understand the bandwidth requirements, the reliability. Is there a self-management platform that is required, or is there what about the provisioning capabilities and the mobilities? And then we tie all of this in to the specific industry scenario. So is it media based? Is it a mining solution? Is it ports, power grid? Is it manufacturing? Is it a public service, a public security service? Or is it a small, a medium enterprise internet access type of service? So all of these things we define, we align, and we develop the platform accordingly to be able to deliver. Right. So when we look at manufacturing as an example, we've got machine vision, you've got automated guided vehicle, remote controls, and you've got your augmented reality solutions. So the first case is what we look at is what we call quality inspection based on cloud machine vision. So we know that there are industries which require very detailed analysis and inspection capabilities if we look at quality control, etc. And in many instances, the human eye just cannot do what the machine what is required, and that is where the machine vision comes in, to do that inspection, to ensure that the quality of the product, the assembly of the products, all of these are 100%. And Huawei themselves have incorporated some of these solutions into our electronic manufacturing and assembly lines, because the level of quality is just so high that you cannot do it in any other way. So many countries, many companies we see are adopting this type of solution. The next one I've got here is autonomous obstacle avoidance. This is typical in warehouses where Uh, there are a lot of items, if you think in terms of Alibaba, Amazon, etc., where there's packing and picking of various items that needs to happen very quickly. And again, there are certain levels of application where you use single or multiple AGVs, where they not only have to communicate to the platform, but they also have to communicate with each other and to do it effectively. So cloud can play a role in all of this as well. So we see many of these applications happening as well. The next one we're looking at is what we call AR-based auxiliary assembly and remote assistance systems. Now, typically, this can be used for training purposes as well, where we have AR assembly guidance takes place. We've got AR remote maintenance capabilities that can take place, collaborative design capabilities, and spot checks by means of interacting then with the devices themselves through the technologies. And as you can see, you've got new and exciting terminals as well that allows us to interface at the level that we expect to. And we've got some examples here of assisted aircraft manufacturing cabling and connector assemblies, production cabling, again, assemblies, aircraft cockpit designs where we can be part of it. And the amazing thing about this is I can virtually be hundreds of kilometers away from where the actual device is. As long as I've got somebody on site or a video feed that can actually connect me to that device, it can still be done remotely as well. So we see amazing things happening in this space as well. Right. The UAV applications, the drones, I've mentioned in my previous presentation, United Arab Emirates, where the oil pipelines, the pylons, etc., are being inspected now by means of drones. So we know there's a high risk environment where people have to go a lot of the time to inspect gas pipelines, electricity pylons, etc. Now I can remove that human risk from that element by utilizing drones effectively. Not only do I save on time and also distance that has to be traveled, but I'm in a safe environment in assessing and inspecting these pipelines and making sure that we are safe and we can identify problems. Even in telecoms, we see now in many cases that drones are being utilized to actually inspect the telecoms towers and see if maybe the microwave link level has gone down and is ineffective because the antenna has moved. So I remember the days where I had to drive hundreds of kilometers, climb the tower to check the alignment of microwave systems. But those days are going to be long gone in the future because we can utilize drones now effectively to have a look and see for us. Is there a real problem? And just think in terms of security as well. Some solutions are being developed where a drone is embedded in a platform that's in my garden. And if an alarm goes off, I can actually now remotely utilize my drone to inspect my area and see if maybe somebody is breaking into my house. All right. And it's all done. It can then it goes down into the ground again, the drone, where it's automatically connected to the grid and it's charged for a next service. So we see, again, amazing and fascinating solutions that are coming to the fore by means of what the technology allows us. All right. Remote control of cranes, excavators, heavy equipment. There are ample examples out there and adoptions that we've seen globally in terms of mine excavations, port, again, steel factories, underground mining capabilities, where the crane operators, they are in a central office, and in some instances, even in China, people were sent home, and their home were created in a way that now they can work from home, and by means of remote control, still have continuity at the mine. So 5G as an enabler, again, showing us how important these things are, especially now during the COVID pandemic period. Right, in healthcare, now remember in my first presentation on Tuesday, there was quite a number of things that I touched on quickly around health. So we're going to look at a little bit more of what we can achieve in the healthcare sector by means of 5G. Right, so thermal detection, yes, There's robotic devices that could be placed in a specific uh, entrance, exit areas or other areas. As the people then enter the building, the technology will then have the temperature look at everybody. They can see if they're wearing masks or not. Should there be an anomaly, then the person can be flagged and we can attend to that person then individually. All right. You will also have what we call a wheeling connectivity platform solution. It's a video conferencing facility that is of very, very high quality and scale for businesses where, again, remotely we can connect certain areas and we can discuss whatever needs to be discussed around specific solutions. CT, remote consultation for medical scanning. So I've got a testimony from one of the doctors, which I saw online, where he said, with the older technologies, it literally took hours and hours for them to be able to download the relevant data, to observe it, and to be able to discuss it. All right. But with 5G technology and the big pipes and capability that 5G allows, we have brought hours and hours down to literally minutes. And they see this as a very, very innovative platform where information can be shared between hospitals, between doctors, between universities, medical institutions, etc. So absolutely, this is one of the solutions that we're very excited about. In terms of the psychological side, that a lot of people don't think of when we think about COVID isolation of people that are positive, etc. We see now that it's creating all sorts of problems. So by means of 5G as a technology, we can allow for one-on-one remote psychological counseling sessions. We can even have families now interact and visit with the patients if they are in isolation. So that whole aspect of isolation can be addressed effectively. And this is a very, very important thing to remember around COVID. Okay. We also have what we call a 5G mobile trolley capabilities in areas of isolation, of quarantine. We can then send the trolley in with medicine. It's got certain layers where you can dispense medicine to the patient. You can interact with the patient. So the doctor and the nursing staff, again, that risk of them of coming in direct contact with the patient is removed. And that's a very important factor as well. Right. Unmanned vehicles, which can be used for purposes of spraying or fumigating certain areas, doing cleanups. This is another application which have been adopted by a number of hospitals in China, which we see is working very effectively. All right. So we have done many hospitals. We've got 22 provinces here, 19 provinces, 60 plus hospitals for the teleconferencing, medical robotics, the drone temperature measurement, thermal image monitoring, the live broadcast capabilities. There's a very high demand for all of these services. Health focused services that we are pushing to market, and that is available because of 5G as a technology. Excuse me. All right, so when we look at the transport environment, we're going to talk about autonomous driving and some remote control again. So autonomous driving, we need to understand there are certain levels of implementation. You have levels from where there is low interaction from the human side to zero interaction from the human side. All right, and this is how we need to understand and classify these things. The examples that I'm talking about here today are specific area or campus focused. So let's say, for instance, you've got a campus, you can incorporate autonomous shuttle buses. And Huawei, as a company, has effectively rolled this out in some of our campuses in China already, where there's no driver. You want to go to the HR building or you want to go to the research and development section, you simply wait at a designated point, you get onto the shuttle bus, and there you go. Just think in terms of tourism and tourism hotspots. South Africa specifically around the game drives, the game environment. Think of all the national parks that we have where specific routes are driven each and every day where we need somebody. It's the question that we need to ask ourselves is, are there areas where we can actually use an autonomous vehicle to do this? All right. Airports, according to me, and ports is a no-brainer. You need the bus that goes from the terminal to the plane. I mean, how difficult can that be? So again, various ways and mechanisms of application relating to autonomous driving by means of the technology. Right. In Shenzhen, at Shenzhen Airport, they've adopted what they call a luggage robot, where you just simply go to the device, you get onto it, you tag your ticket, and it will take you to your terminal. Now, this is, I think, a fantastic thing for me, especially in instances where there are new countries that I'm visiting, and I always have to look around and try and figure out, but where's the terminal, where's the exit, those type of things. I would love to simply be able just to get onto this device and get to where I need to be. Another innovative way of how the technology is adopted. All right, we've got here in Guangzhou where they have designated automatic driving demo zones where there's a lot of research happening and cases are being established. And again, as you can see over here, we've got a level 3 self-driving bus uh, with a security director on board. Here we've got a level 4 self-driving taxi with, again, a human interface that can assist. So slowly, well, I shouldn't say slowly, but we are quickly progressing to the higher levels or layers to where we will have zero need for human interaction at all. So we've got a smart bus here in China as well, with China Unicom, where you can see now there's security monitoring that happens. Abnormal driving behavior is checked and is monitored, and even live interaction by means of television and advertisements. So when the persons are on the bus, there are certain forms of entertainment that we can now push to them as consumers. You've got again, you've got the safety aspects and the supervision capabilities, different ways, mechanisms, and means of how we can incorporate this into the platform. Smart cities. Now, smart city in itself is a very, very big topic, and there has in the past been many discussions, showcases, and workshops around smart city. So for today's purposes, I focused on what we call smart road management. And typically what happens is, I know this doesn't happen in South Africa at all, but what happens in many countries is there's a huge problem with potholes. So is there a way that we can utilize the technology effectively to help us to address the potholes? And the answer is yes. We can use drones as a mechanism to inspect the road surfaces, to take pictures that is sent back to a central database where it can be analyzed, and if need be, the right people can be dispatched to go and fix it. But we also have a manual detection mechanism that can be incorporated. So as a road user, I can also then engage with the council and say, listen, send them a picture, here's a problem, please get it fixed, or even then the people whose responsibility it is to do the inspections that can capture the information, send it to the centralized databases, do the relevant analysis, and then dispatch the right people. So I really, really hope that this gets adopted in South Africa and that potholes will be a thing of the past in the near future. Right. On the energy side, again, we are looking at line inspection capabilities by means of the unmanned aerial vehicles, as I touched on earlier. You can see again that there's a partnership that happens here with the network operator and the electricity supplier, and then inspection mechanisms are put in place. And as you can see, there are massive improvements in efficiency, cost reduction, and also, as I've said earlier, a big and important factor is the safety aspect. So ways and mechanisms that we can do it. And as again, these people, for this specific solution, it's 4K solution. You want that high detail capabilities when you go onto that pilot to check if there are any problems, is something wrong with the cables, what is the lifetime, etc., requirements. All of these things should be able to inspect them by means of the drones. Right. We also have smart metering, which can also form as part of the smart city solution. So here we see a partnership with China southern power grid, where power grid protection mechanisms, drone inspection is also incorporated with the smart metering capabilities that allows then from central points to be able to measure, to monitor, and to understand. Now, I'm not going to say too much around electricity in South Africa at this point. I think we all know the challenges that we are facing. Right.
Marius? Hi,
Yes.
Marius. Can you please turn the fan off? It's uh, very loud.
Uh, Desiree, I don't have a fan switched on.
Oh,
So
okay.
the laptop fan, I can't switch it off. I'm sorry about that.
Oh my word, it's the laptop fan. That's very loud. Okay, sorry. It was just causing a bit of interference with some of the attendees.
Okay, well, sorry about
Sorry. Okay.
that. All right, so from an enterprise private line perspective, we're looking at broadcasting and remote control capabilities again. I've said a lot around broadcasting, but here we can see again examples of where we've got multi-location broadcast capabilities. We can use drones as a mechanism now that gives us that high altitude broadcasting that we were never able to enjoy in the past. All right, so there's what we call high altitude flight broadcast capabilities. We've got multi-camera capabilities with real-time solutions. As you can see over here is an example of the Panda base. Now again, just think in terms of monetizing the, the the travel sector, right? So now I'm in lockdown at home. There is not a lot I can do with myself in terms of getting to the bush, as an example. And I, for one, absolutely love the bush. So is there a way that I can have a solution from the game farms of wherever in the bush where the information is streamed, maybe from a water hole, where I can sit in the comfort of my home and still see how our life is being experienced out there without worries and without COVID? Yes, there are many solutions around this that can be incorporated and adopted, not only again by means of video, but also by means of virtual or augmented reality. I know Mauritius, as an example, are looking at various ways to incorporate this and to give an experience of the island while you are not even there. And I know what's going to happen is once we've enjoyed it, once the lockdowns are lifted, the husband is going to say to the wife, guess where we're going next week? So I really hope that this happens. And this is, again, ways that we can engage and stimulate certain sectors of the economy, getting out of COVID. All right. Single channel 5G broadcast, as I've said, very easy to commercialize. We've got a number of network operators now globally looking at this, incorporating the technologies to be able to do those broadcasts literally anywhere and anytime that the network allows. And this is very exciting. Again, high quality, detailed data that can be distributed very quickly by means of the networks and the platforms. All right, and this is my last slide, is the cloud supervision capabilities, where in China we've got an example where two hospitals were built in a very short space of time. And I remember when I heard the news that China is going to do this, I thought, no, but it's impossible. How are you going to build two hospitals in 10 days? And they actually made a live feed available, which you could go onto and you can check for yourself. And I was absolutely fascinated to see how effectively and efficiently China was able to do it. And I remember doing this presentation to a partner in Africa, and one of the people in the audience said to me, "But wait a minute, we've got a situation in our country where the government has been building a bridge, but it's been taking them 3 years. Can we please get the solution, get the camera footage on there to see if the people is actually working?" So that started to me to think that this is actually a fantastic way to keep government accountable, and not only government but other sectors as well, where you allow the public to be able to see what is happening in certain areas with specific projects, etc. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see where this is going to go, but again, capability is there where we can do this and we can effectively share this information. Right, so that is my last slide. So I will open the floor now and look at the Q and A's. Um, all right, so I've got a
Okay,
number of.
there is a question from Daniel on the chat group.
Okay, let me just have a look at that, Desiree.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
that.
the noise has gone, by the way. I don't know what it was. It's perfect.
Okay. Okay, how can 5G be implemented in water management systems? With us, South Africa being in the top 30 drought-prone areas, how can then 5G be used to monitor water use and water quality as well? Most research is on INT and IA. There are a number of limitations within. Right, absolutely. So within the IoT space, within the agriculture space, within water space, there's a lot that can be done. So as an example, typically what could happen is that, let's say, specific IoT devices, now Huawei within themselves do not um, manufacture the devices, but we've got more than 600 partners that helps us with that does the devices. These devices, we then partner with them and incorporate into our IoT management platform. The devices can then be deployed. So let's say, for instance, there's a dam. We can deploy these water quality check devices in certain places, ensure that we've got 5G coverage, and that data can then be relayed in live time to a central point for analysis. And should there be any degradation in the quality, or maybe a foreign substance that is detected, or an anomaly, an alarm condition can be created then from that environment to sort of trigger the central office to respond effectively. Now, I'm not a water expert, but definitely I think there should be a way that we can do that. In terms of how can I put this, water usage, again, smart metering, there are many companies out there that focus on smart metering capabilities. These just need to be incorporated into the flow, into the pipelines, into the homes, to be able to effectively measure that. Yeah, so absolutely, I think there is a way that that can be addressed. If you've got any ideas, please feel free to engage with us. We are always looking for willing partners that we can assist. Um, renewable energy, right? So renewable energy as well. Um, Wind turbines, with most wind farms located, how will that then affect connectivity? All right, so renewable energy is actually a total different topic. I am fortunate enough to be part of our renewable energy group as well, that is starting to focus on Africa as a continent. Um, there are amazing and innovative solutions that focus on renewable energy that are available. It's a question of partnering with the right people, as we need to be realistic and understand that according to every country, regulation, policies, etc., there are, in some instances, there are specific license requirements to participate, but we are definitely looking at a number of ways where we can incorporate and bring intelligence to those traditional, how can I put it, dump systems. I even, I've got an app on my phone where I can monitor my entire home energy consumption. My home is a bit of a smart home type of thing. So there are definite solutions available for to be able to remotely, again, gather all of the data, do the analysis, do the inspections, ensure that whatever we deployed works at optimal efficiency. So I hope I've helped you with that. And again, the network can be scaled and built in a way that you utilize the 5G technology to its maximum. So, I mean, we know there's not people in those areas. I mean, if you've got windmills or wind farms there, but again, we can make sure that we can cover all of those areas effectively to ensure that we get the maximum benefit then from that data. Okay, let me see. I see there's a Smart Water magazine. Um, right, I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to give it a minute or so. And I'm just going to do a little bit of marketing. So I hope that we all see you tomorrow again here at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, Desiree is doing our last session for the week, and it's a very important session. So I think with that, then we will be able to conclude, what we wanted to achieve this week in providing you that end-to-end vision around the importance of 5G as a technology, as a platform. And then again, tomorrow we will look at the impact it has from an economical point of view, on industries, on governments, etc., etc. So for those of you that have been with us since Monday, thank you so much for making time available from your busy schedules. On behalf of the DCA and Huawei Technology Southern Africa region, I wish you the best for today. Stay warm and stay safe, and then we will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you for your time.